Wow! We have a button that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't, like the rest of the world, right? Thank you so much for joining us for debate number 2. Tonight, who's going to lead the city as our mayor? You know, we have a new mayor coming into office, and there's something unique about this election. You may note, I think we're going to have a woman mayor. So the question is, who's here to lead the city? And we at Community Broadcasters want to make sure that you have all the information with which to decide. And I assume, boy, this is a big crowd too, that since you're all here, you're all planning to do the right thing and cast your vote. As I said last night, for those people who don't vote, don't complain. You're either part of the solution or you become part of the problem. We have 2 incredibly talented people. And conducting the questioning, my goodness, how many years were you mayor? 20? Only 20 years. Let's have a round of applause first for our moderator, the Honorable Jeff Graham. And thanks to our executive producer, Ken Martin, for making the sparks and sound. And here's our debate. Thanks again for coming.
Election day is 3 weeks away. And the competition to replace Jeff Smith as the mayor of Watertown is heating up. Tonight, the candidates face off live at the Italian-American Civic Association on AM 1240 WATN Watertown and 100.7 The Eagle, WEFX Henderson. Now, here's former mayor and host of The Hotline, Jeff Graham.
Well, good evening, one and all. We are here at the Italian-American Club in Bellevue Avenue, and that's the site, or this is the site for our mayoral debate this year. We had a good time last night. I thank all of you for coming. We've got 2 great candidates here, and we're going to get right into it. We'll start off by just giving each of them a moment to give the biography. We'll start out with Councilwoman Ruggiero.
Thank you very much. I appreciate Community Broadcasters in putting this event on. I certainly enjoy seeing the crowd that is here tonight, and hopefully our answers that we give you will be the information that you're looking for. I am Lisa Ruggiero. I am in my 6th year as councilwoman. I was born and raised in Watertown, grew up on Myrtle Ave. I went to Ithaca College, graduated from there. I stayed in Ithaca for a job with property management, and it was right next to Cornell. I enjoyed that being my first job out of college. I eventually moved back up here for a job, and that is what's kept me here ever since. I have a business, Heifer and Real Estate, that I have owned since 1999, and I am a licensed realtor and have been for 33 years. I'm certainly a multiple property owner here in the city, so it certainly gives me an appreciation of taxes. And I do want to mention that being, you know, my parents and my grandparents on both sides also were business owners in Watertown, and I certainly appreciate being able to carry that on. I am married to Chuck Ruggiero for 27 years. I have 2 stepsons and 4 grandchildren.
Okay, thank you very much. And our other candidate for mayor, Councilwoman Sarah Campo-Pierce.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the Italian-American Civic Association, Community Broadcasters, our moderator, Mayor Jeff Graham, and thank you to Jim Levin as well. And I understand I owe Mr. Levin an apology. I kind of stole his thunder this week, taking over the billboard on Factory Street. So, Mr. Levin, I apologize for that. Okay, but enough about that. I was born and raised in Watertown, a graduate of IHC and SUNY Geneseo. During college, I interned at NBC's Today Show. That led me to my first job with the Today Show's financial editor, Jean Chatzky. You may have seen her on Today or on Oprah, but she's a best-selling author and, as I said, financial expert, and I had the pleasure of working with her for a couple years and reporting on the ins and outs of personal finance. I moved home in 2010, took a position at Channel 7, where I was a reporter and weekend anchor, and in 2012, I was approached by State Senator Patty Ritchie to take on a role as communications director in her office. And I was with the senator for over 10 years, learned a lot, gained a lot of valuable experience, built a lot of great relationships. I was in a number of roles in her office, as I said, starting out as communications director and then ultimately ending up as her chief of staff for over 3 years. And in that position, I oversaw her offices, her employees, her legislation, pretty much anything that went on for those last few years before she retired in January. Now I am a senior writer and producer for a personal finance-focused media company, and what I consider my most important jobs in life, I'm also a wife and a mother to a 1-year-old daughter. My husband and I also own a small business, North Country Grave Grooming, where we care for headstones for people locally, and I'm involved in a number of local organizations, including Friends of the Flower Memorial Library, the DPAO Foundation, Jefferson County Businesses Against Drugs, and a number of others. In addition to my role in the senator's office for over 10 years, in that government experience, I've been on the council for nearly 5 years now. Very proud of the work that I've done, proud of my voting record, which has been fiscally responsible, as well as pro-business growth. I'm also proud of the initiatives that I've spearheaded, including my community office hours program, which has given people an opportunity to meet with me one-on-one in different settings throughout the city, and my Adopt a Spot program, which is helping to not only beautify different areas of the city, but create more of a sense of community here. I look forward to sharing more about myself tonight, my positions, and the reasons why I believe that my experience makes me the best choice for Watertown's next mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, ladies, we're looking for a feisty debate tonight. You know, I'm reminded of the words of Pulitzer Prize-winning historian Laurel Thatcher, who said, "Well-behaved women seldom make history." So with that said, why don't we give you a chance to address what Mr. Levin said, and that is the fact that history will be made January 1 with the first woman mayor in Watertown. And if you were trying to explain the relevance of that to a young lady, a 10-year-old, whatever, what would you say? Councilwoman Campo-Pierce?
I would say first and foremost, it's an exciting time, but then again, it's also an expected time, I think. I think that there's no reason that a woman could not be mayor. It's just for whatever reason, it hasn't happened yet. And I know that the opportunity to be the first woman mayor of the city of Watertown would be a very humbling opportunity for me, as I'm sure it would be for my opponent. But ultimately, I do not think people should be judged by gender. We should be judged by our qualifications, work ethic, talents. That said, whoever is elected will have a tremendous opportunity as well as a responsibility to set a good example for, as Mayor Graham said, the young people and especially the young women in our community. And personally, I think I have the right character, demeanor, experience to be that example and that role model.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Ruggiero.
Thank you. When I decided that I was going to run for mayor, I did not run to be the first woman. I looked at it as that I'm running for mayor who you know, wants to be mayor, and I just happen to be a woman. I have certainly kind of crossed some thresholds over the years, including just last year being elected the first female president of my volunteer fire department, first woman in, I want to say, their 80-year history. But it was because of my over 30 years of experience serving on boards, and hopefully I can get into some of the ones that I've been on. But I mean, I've been involved locally, like I said, for 30 years. I've been president of many boards. I have the experience. I have the skills for leadership, and I certainly have the character for it, but I also know how to maintain decorum. I think that some people have seen me over the years, last year and a half anyway, when we have some disputes going on in the meetings, and I try to interrupt so that we can get the meeting back on track. Because that is the position that we're supposed to be in, is to conduct the people's business and to carry out the agenda. And sometimes it doesn't happen, and I can certainly see myself in that role because I've already been there. I have already led many organizations here, some that were financially troubled, to help get them back on track. So I certainly believe that with that experience, even my business experience certainly will make me the best mayor who also is a woman. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Let's get right down to business. What is the deal with this billboard on Factory Street? I ran for mayor 7 times, and I've never seen anything like that. Calling people stupid, putting unflattering photos up and so on. Is it just the times we live in, or is there something special going on? You're the recipient of it, Ms. Campo-Pierce.
Yes, I am the subject of that. And I think I would say as a candidate, you might expect those types of things, certainly not to that degree. But as a citizen, it is embarrassing for our city. It is unfortunate. It is sad. It's especially sad that up until just hours ago, my opponent's signs, a large one as well as a small one, appeared directly below that billboard. And her signs remain on many properties throughout this city that are owned by the person responsible for that billboard. It is sad, and it is sad that she would condone that behavior because it sets a terrible example for people in our community. Somebody posted something on Facebook earlier today where they said, I drive by that billboard every day with my children. That's telling them that it's okay to call somebody stupid. It's sad, it's unfortunate, and it is, as I said, unfortunate that my opponent would accept the involvement of somebody in her campaign who obviously wants to have some sort of influence over city government. And again, I said this earlier when I was speaking to Channel 7, I can understand why Mr. Samayo put that billboard up. It's because he has zero influence over the decisions I make as a city council member. He would have zero influence over the decisions that I would make as mayor. That is not true of my opponent.
Well, one thing, before we get to the response, haven't you and the mayor, who are obviously political allies, been ridiculing that individual for his failure to pay taxes on a property on Main Avenue? Is that, I've heard a lot of things about we're going to send you flowers if you pay your taxes. I mean, it seems a little disingenuous.
I can say that I'm not responsible for ridiculing this individual. I have not had communication with this individual in years, even though he emails me sometimes several times a day calling me names. You know where those emails go? They go in a folder called PJ Samayo, and I don't look at them.
Well, we all get those too, so, all right. Councilwoman Ruggiero, what's your response to what she said about the billboard and your associations with Mr. Samayo?
Sure. As usual, my opponent is lying. That's a strong word. That is a very strong word. And please let me finish. I would like to be able to talk instead of talking over somebody laughing at me. Number one, yes, I moved those billboards. You want to know why? Because somebody had to go put the pictures over on the meme page and make fun of me, and somebody vandalized my sign. They slashed it. So I moved it to a different location. The other one you're talking about, it was gone. Somebody stole that. If you think that it's okay for your supporters to go around and steal and smash my signs, I cannot tell you. I have not put it on Facebook, but I can tell you the number is awful. And I've had people say that, they couldn't see somebody. People don't have any ring alarms, or maybe they didn't have it on. But I don't condone bullying at all. One thing you have never done is you have never condemned this meme page at all. You have never publicly said it. And I would like to know right now if you will condemn that page.
Okay, number one, we'll start with, yes, I have condemned the page. It was brought up at a city council meeting. Why it continues to be brought up at a city council meeting where we're supposed to be conducting city business, I do not know. But at a meeting, I publicly said that it's bullying. I don't agree with it. I'm not responsible for memes. I don't know how to create memes. Bottom line, I don't have time for memes.
Well, I'm not
And
responsible either.
Let me just interject right here and address a couple points. Stealing signs, show me the proof, because I could probably ask people in the audience, raise your hand if one of your signs has gone missing. I know codes enforcement has gone around and picked them up. I know the wind is taken in places, but I'm not here to talk about signs and people stealing my signs.
Right.
I'm here to talk about what is important to the city of Watertown, what I bring to the table.
And maybe,
And now I'm going to
maybe,
back it up.
no,
I'm going to back it up.
no, let me finish. I was asked a question. No, I was asked a question. I did not have a chance to finish.
Okay,
So,
go ahead and
the
finish.
thing is, yes, this was before codes went and picked them up. I've got proof, I take pictures of everything, that I have signs that have been smashed, demolished, even on my own property. That's the type of people that we're dealing with, are people out there, and this, yes, the politics in Watertown have been very divisive. I do not condone a billboard, I do not condone bullying of any kind, but I was the subject of 4.5 months of being harassed and bullied and made fun of and talked about on your show, Mayor, when Mayor Smith filled in for you. 2 hours a week. That's all he did was bash me, my character, my business, all because he didn't agree on a vote. I have a problem with that. The meme page, it's been up for 5 months. If any of you here were the subject of that every day being made fun of, I don't think that you would like it. I've tolerated it, I've dealt with it. That's why I've been curious about, the mayor even said he knows who's behind the page.
Well,
but
somebody's
will not
offered a
reveal it.
$5,000 reward. Mr. Sameo offered a $5,000 reward for
I hope-
identifying who's behind it.
I hope
Can
somebody
either of you
does.
collect the $5,000 tonight?
No, I can't, but can I interject? I just
Sure.
want to address a few points here. You're saying you don't condone bullying, yet your signs appear beneath a giant billboard
Oh,
with my
thank you.
face on it. So that would tell me that, yes, you do condone bullying.
Well, let's see. No,
Can I-
because you
can I-
even...
no, Can I just, I won't interrupt you if you don't interrupt me. Let's make a deal. It's going to be a long 2 hours. When it comes to bullying, memes, cartoons, etc., that comes with the territory when you're in politics. You put yourself out there as a public figure. It's the First Amendment. People have the right to express how they feel about you and your positions. Do I agree with bullying? No. But people have the right to express themselves. People can say what they want, and you have to have thick skin. I personally have had thick skin over the course of the past 5 years when your biggest ally, Councilman Cliff Olney, has bullied me through sexist, demeaning memes on his Facebook page. And not only me, I can understand not wanting to defend me, he has demeaned city staff, calling them terrorists. He has demeaned members of the public, and you have sat silent. So if you have such a problem with bullying, you should have spoke out about that for the past 5 years.
Well,
The last thing I want to say
Well,
is,
well-
you accused me of saying a lie a few minutes ago. What was the lie? Where was the lie?
The lie is right here in your statement. Mr. Sameo is not part of my campaign. I'm sorry that I'm not getting credit for doing my work. My first 2 campaigns, I did everything myself. I wrote everything, I still do. This is my 3rd campaign. I never had a campaign manager. You lied and said in your statement that he was my campaign manager. Please show me
ladies,
any
isn't-
documentation where it says he is my campaign
Okay,
manager.
ladies, what we're seeing now, isn't that what people want to stop at city council meetings?
Exactly.
And seems to be going on right here.
Exactly,
Are
but let
people
me-
looking at one of you as the person who can put an end to the turmoil?
Yes, next topic.
Yes,
please.
but no, I
Well,
want to
tell us
finish.
how are you going to restore?
No, I want to finish because
Okay.
you already accused me of where my signs are, so
I don't
let
care
me
where your
finish.
signs are.
She does, apparently. I have over 200 and some signs out. Only 4 are on one person's property because I asked, because they were great locations. I'm sorry if you're jealous of the locations. And then you even accused Jake Johnson yesterday, or on Glenn Curry's show, about one of my signs being there. And I know that he sent us both text messages explaining it. And yes, I asked him. I only asked him for one location, and that was it. So I'm not afraid to ask people. It does not mean I have their support or I support them. It's all about where I'm going to put my signs. And hey, somebody here has the best locations in the city. I can't help that.
Okay, well, I just want to announce, my parking lot is open to all signs tomorrow. Okay, everybody, bring them over. Okay, but the issue has been decorum. That's been a big buzzword. How are you going to restore the decorum that, no offense to my friend Mayor Smith, who's over here, has not existed in recent months?
I'm going to
Ms. Campo-Pierce, why don't we start with you?
Okay.
I would say anybody who watches the city council meetings would be able to see that during those times of arguing and turmoil, I maintain my composure and always behave as a professional. That is my priority. As mayor, I have the ability to lead the council, and if it does get to a degree where it's out of control, the simple answer for me would be to call a recess. Nobody's going back out to continue the meeting until cooler heads have prevailed. I think that I would have the ability to mitigate the amount of disagreements on council because I respect everybody's opinion. Everybody is entitled to their opinion on council, and you have to be respectful of that. If somebody has a different stance on something than me, I'm not going to engage in a back and forth with them. Let them say their piece and move on. That is how I would operate. I certainly, again, have proven myself to be a professional on city council. I've never called a colleague an expletive like my opponent has, which again sets a poor example for the community, and I just
What
feel
expletive did she call?
You're not going to get me
So
to say
I
it.
think I could say that,
Okay.
I think I can say that I'm not the only one who used that word. Obviously, somebody else did.
Well, come on, what's the word? I'm out of the loop here.
No, you know what it is. But, you know, the thing is,
Mayor,
again,
help me out on this.
it was because of 4.5 months of him talking about me, bashing some of my colleagues on the radio, and he started in that night. And I mentioned it, and he's always vindictive and condescending. We don't need that. We don't need that, period. And I disagree with my opponent because when we've had Cliff and the mayor go at it, I've never seen my opponent step up and say, hey, stop that. Because you know why? The meeting rules state that the mayor is the chair and the mayor is responsible for maintaining decorum. You don't see that a lot of times. I understand that, and usually I'm the one who would speak up and say, all right, stop, can we get back on track? Even in executive sessions, when Cliff, I'm sorry, but when Cliff is talking too much, and I think my colleagues will agree that I have sometimes told him to shut up. And I have done that, and sometimes I've said, will you let me talk? Or in open session, if he's asking too many questions.
Well, he must not be listening to you because he doesn't. Now, bringing up Councilman Olney, he's the subject of this ethics board thing. I have questions about the legality of removing him, but some people say they want him removed from city council. Do either of you have an opinion on that, Councilwoman Ruggiero?
I do, because I don't think that, number one, I don't know if the city has a grasp as to what the actual procedure is. There are some discussions in Albany about whether this can even be done. I think what he's been accused of, I haven't seen the evidence of it. But I also say, and I don't know why it hasn't happened, but unfortunately, the mayor has released very confidential information, including when we only had 2 backdoor meetings, is what my opponent says, executive session meetings to negotiate the offer, and then the mayor came out in public and said, there's an offer and it's north of 3.1. Several days later is when Mr. Lundy publicly came out and said, mentioned that there is an offer on the table. We weren't really, I don't think we were really done discussing that, but he brought it out of executive session and made it public when, that kind of ended the negotiating there. The other thing is a confidential memo that was marked attorney-client privilege about an appraisal. He also put that out there, and guess what? Our new attorney said, no, that should not have happened. So I guess the thing is, if you want to go after Cliff, we should be going after, other people too, but I don't agree.
Let's get back to Councilman Olney, and I'll let Councilwoman Campo-Pierce say something on that. Do you view this, the election, particularly the council race, as a means to break up the gang of 3 that you and the mayor have been so frustrated with?
Do you want me to touch on the
issue
about, okay.
Say whatever you want.
So 2 points I'd like to make on that. The voters elected him. I respect the people that voted for them and the validity of their votes, but I think it's important to review the ethics complaint and to at least be informed about what alleged infractions happen. So I'll say that, and then your question was about the supposed gang of three?
Oh, the Gang of Three, yeah, you know who they are.
And what exactly?
Well, I mean, this
Is an effort to break
election
them up?
offers you the opportunity to break up the Gang of Three who voted for the golf course and the pool and all of
Sure.
that. And
So-
I think it all hinges on Mr. Hickey's elimination from the primary, and I assume, some people say Mr. Spaziani would become part of the Gang of Three if elected. I don't know. You tell me.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't really think of them, my colleagues, as the gang of three, because I voted with the mayor on certain issues, and I voted with the other side on certain issues. What I will say is that I think many members of the public are frustrated with the way things have been going under the current council majority. During the past less than a year, you've seen $8 million spent on recreational assets, a pool, and an overpriced golf course. All the while, the water that's coming out of your faucet is not up to standards to drink. That is irresponsible, and that is not the way that I would spend my own money. I think people are very frustrated about issues like that, and I think that's where this feeling of wanting to break up the majority comes from.
Okay, thank you very much.
I would like to-
Councilwoman Ruggiero, go ahead.
I think people forget that my opponent was part of a gang of three as well. The mayor, Jesse Rocha, and herself. And did I like some of the decisions that they made? No. They got rid of the rescue truck, which was definitely needed here in the city. My opponent has voted against every pool in the city, and during that time of the gang of three, they voted to not only close the Altieri pool right here in the Sand Flats without any kind of an inspection as to the condition of it, and was ready to just demolish it with no inspection. So yeah, that was frustrating. Did I go out and ask somebody to sue the city to stop any of those things? No, I did not. I accepted it, as Mayor Walker did say in his last letter, is you have to move on. And here's the problem. We have two people, my opponent and the mayor, who refuse to move on from this purchase. They've made this the only campaign issue because they believe that this is what they have to be able to run on. We have a lot more issues, and the other thing is about our water not being up to standards to drink it. It is. But the city is working on it, and we have bonded for that and trying to find that solution. The other thing is, you mentioned about $8 million. Guess what? You're the one who really spent that money because you would not bond for it. If you bonded for these projects, we would have had that money available to what? Not only put it back into the park, also put some money back into the zoo and other
Okay.
projects that we would have.
Let me just, I hate to bring up the golf course thing, but somebody else did. I want to know, was that deal dirty in some ways, the way it was done? The amount of money made by certain individuals, the deception on the condition of the property, the overall price. Now, you can say move on, but it's still an issue in many people's minds.
100%. And to the people who say move on, you have two people up here who are looking to lead the city. Part of making a decision about who you are going to select to lead involves looking at their resume. And when I say resume, I mean looking at the decisions that they have made. What's their track record? Have they been responsible with spending your money? It's easy to say move on, but you need to look at the decisions and the way people think about things. To your question about the golf course, if it was a bad deal, 100% it was. You had meetings that happened not out in the public. You had meetings where your council members who supported this signed non-disclosure agreements to conceal information from the public. I have never seen that done before in my life when it comes to Watertown City Council. But one thing that I really took issue with was the final details of the golf course deal were released on a Friday. There was a special meeting called by my opponent on that Monday. A couple dozen people showed up wanting to voice their opinion on how they felt about $3.4 million of their money being spent. there was a vote whether or not to allow those people to speak. My opponent and her colleagues voted against that, effectively silencing the public and taking away their right to have their voice heard. As far as I'm concerned, that is the most important thing that we do as representatives, is listen to the people we represent. It is so wrong to me that people would come wanting to share their opinion and they would be shut down.
Okay, Ms. Rogero?
Number one, my opponent was only at 2 meetings, and then you were out on maternity leave, yes.
Whoa, let her speak, let her speak.
No, we both said the same word, and she was on maternity leave. So there was a lot going on that you weren't part of. You didn't respond to stuff. You were, you did say, oh, November 7th, that would be the time to come and talk. Guess what? We had over 22 people who spoke at the November 7th meeting. They had their opportunity to speak. And it was fully announced. There were, 4 editorials. There were several news stories, both on 7 News and in the paper. Everybody knew about it. And out of, 24,500 residents, we had 20 people that spoke. And it was almost half, I think there was, almost half as for people who were for or against it. To say that this was dirty, that means you're accusing our former city attorney, Bob Sly, of malfeasance, because he's the one who handled it. And you mentioned about meetings not in public. There were only 2 executive session meetings which were legal. You were in those meetings as well. And that was where we discussed the offer. It first came in at $3.7 million. Everybody said, hey, it'd be great to have it, but not at that price. We all agreed about that. Well, then the next meeting, we find out that the price is 3.4. And that was at a take it or leave it price. That was it. It was either buy it or it's gone. And so that was legal. But we had 3 privilege of the floor meetings, November 7th, and then November 21st and December 5th. Those 3 meetings are when people could have come and said, I still don't agree with it. Some people who were there at November 7th meeting came during one of those meetings and spoke twice. The December 12th meeting, some of the same people were there. So what more could they say that was different than what was already discussed? Here's the thing. A special meeting has special rules, and there's no privilege of the floor. Even the city clerk told me, do not do this because you're setting a bad precedent if you're changing the rules on the fly. The chair is the one who has to follow the rules. He decided to change the rules.
Can I interject
Well,
just with a quick
I don't
question?
know. Very quickly, then we have to go to a break.
Okay, so my opponent says that there is no privilege of the floor at special meetings, yet back in 2019, when we were discussing the courtroom, one of her supporters spoke at that special meeting. She voted against letting the public speak at the special meeting concerning the golf course, and just a few weeks ago at a special meeting, voted yes to let the public speak. So which is it? People can speak when they agree with you, or they can't speak when they disagree with you?
There was no one there to speak, really. And yes, in that special meeting in 2019, the person that was there, I knew that he was already decided that he was going to speak on behalf of the city, because he was going to provide information to help prevent the city from having to spend millions of dollars on a second courtroom.
Well, hearing all the details of that debate, I guess I picked a good time to be in a coma or something, so I don't know. But why don't we take time out for a commercial break? We'll be back with more in a moment.
Roof looking older than you are? Finding more tiles in your lawn than grass? It's time to go Harringer's Contracting. The roof people. Don't delay, though. Call them to set up a free estimate. Call them now at 782-9129 for Harringer's Contracting. The roof people who will call you back.
L.A. Quarry is the destination for all your crushed limestone. L.A. Quarry's been providing crushed limestone of various shapes and sizes to the residents of the North Country since 1991. The Thompson family have owned and operated the quarry in Lafargeville and are dedicated to providing fast and friendly service. Their local delivery option is available many times on the same day. Whether you're a contractor, a homeowner, or a business owner, LA Quarry has the limestone to improve your driveway and your property. Located at 19309 Grove Cemetery Road in Lawarsville, just watch for the huge sign next to the cemetery. LA Quarry is now doing driveways and stone pad foundations. Call them at 315-658-2004. That's 315-658-2004. For fast delivery or pickup of your crushed limestone, rely on LA Quarry and the Thompson family, and see them on Facebook. Call them at 315-658-2004.
Cash and Leanne heard about Mattress Express's new promotion where you simply come in, comfort test 3 mattresses, and get a $25 prepaid Visa card. They knew we had a location in Evans Mills in the Walmart Plaza next to Navy Federal Credit Union and one on Arsenal Street across from Dunkin' Donuts. They went to Evans Mills. They tried the Tempur-Pedic first. They loved it. 8 different Tempur-Pedics. They then tried a Stearns & Foster. They couldn't believe we had 9 different purple mattresses. They settled on the number bed by Instant Comfort, the Q9 King Flex Head. Cash liked his side firm. He was a 40. We elevated his head and feet. He said his back had never felt so good. Leanne liked her side softer. She was a 22. We elevated her head a little higher, her feet a little less. She said it was like having her own bed. They qualified for it and signed up for the 5 years, no interest, no money down, not a nickel. Went to the list of luxury rewards and chose a 75-inch flat screen TV. Stop in, try any 3 beds at Mattress Express and get a $25 prepaid Visa card. Hurry! Hey y'all, it's the mouth of the South Carolina Chuck down here at FS Capella Honda in H2O Town. And it's fall, y'all. So come see Chuck. You get your truck, you get them bucks, and you pull them doors. FS Capella Honda is loaded down with trucks. We got so many trucks out here, it looks like the DPOO is putting on another country show. So this one's for the hunters out there. I want to see your deer. Follow Carolina Chuck and tag me in your deer pics. On November 21st, I'm going to pick a random winner to win a $200 gift card for Runnings Outdoors. So show Chuck your buck. That's Carolina Chuck on Facebook. And FX Capella Honda is a Honda store. I just got myself a brand new Honda Accord EXL Hybrid. I'd love to tell you all about it. We also got the very popular CRVs, winter ready rides. All-wheel drive, got the heated seats for your cheeks, and some of them even got a snow mower. Save some bucks on a new Honda at FX Capella. And don't forget to show Carolina Chuck your bucks on Facebook.
North Country Family Health Center has provided in-school services for over 30 years, and our commitment to convenient, quality student health care hasn't changed. All students are offered care, regardless of ability to pay. No out-of-pocket costs for services provided in school. Plus, we provide transportation. We'll even communicate directly with your family's pediatric providers after their in-school appointment. Learn more and enroll in school-based health services at newcofamilyhealth.org.
This is Watertown Decides on AM 1240, WATN Watertown, and 100.7 The Eagle, WEFX Henderson. Once again, here's Jeff Graham.
Okay, we're back. We're back on the air, live from the Italian American Civic Association on Bellew Avenue in Watertown. And wow, have we got a debate going tonight between the mayoral candidates, Sarah Campo-Pierce and Lisa Ruggiero, both sitting members of City Council, both competing for the office of mayor, and both just taking a seat right now at the dais. And we're going to get back to questions. Now, are we ready to go, folks? We're on? Okay. I hope you two had the opportunity to watch last night's... Whoa! Keep it down, folks. I hope you had the opportunity to watch last night's debate. And here's a question. Who are the 2 council candidates you would like to work with? There were 4 of them here last night. Ms. Campo-Pierce?
I would say I believe I have the ability to work with anybody. From listening to the council candidates, I think my positions most closely align with Mr. Schoen and Mr. Babcock. I disagree with Mr. Spaziani on many of the issues, and Dr. Kimball, I feel I haven't learned enough about exactly where he stands on things.
Does it bother you that he's a Democrat?
No, you can work with anybody.
Okay, because I notice you're aligned with the Republican SIP. Ms. Ruggiero, who do you want to win that election?
Well, as my opponent said, I truly can work with anyone. If I can work with Cliff or try to work with Cliff, And he doesn't even know I'm talking about him, but I mean, that's how I am. I work with anybody, and as much as some people, such as Mr. Schoen, I know he came to a meeting and spoke under privilege of the floor, and he's actually talked down to us a few times and said we should resign. I mean, I listen to that, but I also am able to put that aside because, I mean, like I said, no matter what, I've tried to work with the mayor. I think there's some things that we have consensus on. Actually, the golf cart lease, surprisingly, he and I voted no. My opponent voted yes for it. And so a lot of times we have, switch votes. But as far as the 4 candidates, look, I worked with Mr. Spaziani for 8 months. He and I don't agree on everything, and maybe 50% of the time, but there are a lot of things that we really did not agree on. Mr. Kimball, I think that he is very well respected in the community. I thought he did a fine job last night. I thought all the candidates did very well, so I wouldn't even have a problem working with him. But I think that people should realize half of the decorum problem will be gone at the end of the year. No offense, but I think, and we still have Councilman Olney, and that maybe we can work on that. But he doesn't listen to anybody. He doesn't listen to me. He's his own person, and I guess I don't see anything wrong with that. If you are that independent, that's what we want. We want people who are independent, that don't just sit there and side with people just because. And I think that, you need people who can explain why they're for or against something.
Okay, one of the things the whole COVID era taught us is that there's money flying all over the place. ARPA money, PPP money, whatever money you want. It's going to individuals, to businesses, and governments are sitting on enormous fund balances like the county's $154 million. I don't know what you folks are sitting on right now, but that money tree has been picked dry to an extent by recent projects. How are you going to reconcile things for what the mayor says is a fiscal day of reckoning coming at the end of the decade?
So I would, one of the things that I would like to do if elected mayor, and I've already put that information out in my campaign materials, is to have a committee, number one, to look at what are the sources of revenue going to be. Are there any potential revenues that we can get from hydro? Look at the recommendations that we've been given in terms of the options for hydro revenue. Obviously, nothing will be as lucrative as that contract. And if also elected mayor, I would hope that maybe there would be a majority on council in January that would actually bond for the balance of the Ulterior Pool. That way, we would have that money set aside for other projects.
We're going to have a new one on the north side, and we have a new one in the park. Obviously, they're going to be used, but the old one is the Ulterior Pool. I've looked at those numbers. There's no way that the usage numbers justify the number of pools, no matter what you want in a neighborhood. So how are you going to reconcile the fact that you're going to have trouble recruiting and paying for lifeguards and chlorine and everything else for this pool at a time of declining revenues? Go ahead.
Oh, okay, I wasn't sure who. Obviously, people know that I have been in favor of each pool. In 2017, when I first ran for election, I saw the need and I saw the vision that there could be more traffic in Thompson Park if that pool was replaced. And now it's turned out to be the most well-attended pool in the city with just over 21,000 visits just last year. I think that it complements the park. The same thing with the north side. I know my opponent voted against it. It's her family namesake. But the thing is, I see it as a need for the people on the north side. And, we work for everybody, not just, one section of the city or one income bracket. We work for everybody. That is our job. And the fact that we have over 14 apartment complexes on the north side, we have a lot of children that live on the north side, and they've missed that pool because it's been down a couple years because of the repairs that it needed. And then I think the thing I look at is, instead of kicking the can down the road, we're fixing things as they happen. And that is what has been missing in government for so long. It's our job to do that, not pass it off to another council to make them decide, is that a good reason or not to close a pool. I see the attributes of it. I see the purposes of it.
3 pools.
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Campo-Pierce, you voted against the north side pool, presumably because you don't think 3 are needed, so would you close the one up the street?
I think it is important to remember that the operation of these 3 pools will end up costing us roughly $500,000 annually. You have to think about that when you think about the different demands and financial situations that the city is going to be in the future. We have our water problem to correct. We have the hydro cliff coming up. So when we invest in recreational assets, it needs to be done in a way that's, number one, not redundant, and maybe think about enhancing what we already have instead of reinventing the wheel and building 3 of the same thing. My opponent alluded to the fact that the Northside Pool is named after my grandfather, William J. Flynn, who was a longtime councilman. My family's here, members of the Flynn family, and they don't agree with spending $4 million on a 3rd pool. They would rather see something that can be used year-round, because reminder people, we live in an area of the country where it snows most of the year. We need to get more creative about providing recreational opportunities that are less costly.
But back to my question. You can't close the brand-new $4 million pool. You can't close the brand-new park pool. So if you don't need 3 pools and you can't afford the operating costs, would you be willing to close this one?
Tough decisions that council members have to make. You have to be willing to make these tough decisions. If the numbers are not there to support a 3rd pool, I would close a 3rd pool if it was in the best fiscal interest of the city, and would replace it with something that is less costly to maintain. We've got the great splash pad up at Thompson Park that provides entertainment for young children. People love it. Oftentimes it's overcrowded. Way less expensive to maintain, and something like that would make more sense.
But I'd like to add, the north side pool, a lot of people might not know this, but the north side pool will have a small splash pad. I know that my opponent talked about a hybrid skating rink splash pad thing, but there were never any, estimates produced. There was never any information provided. And you interrupted me. You did not want me to interrupt you. So let me finish that thought. The other thing is, I know you're talking about $500,000 for the pools, but you know what? The arena, no offense, Mayor Graham, the arena, it's got to be brought up, is losing what, $500,000 a year? And even when that bonding is paid off, it is never going to make money. Do I say that that's a problem, that we should close the arena? No, the arena serves a purpose, and that's the problem when you have recreational opportunities here in the city. Not all of them make money. However, look at the golf course. They've done very well this year, and talking to the manager last week, they already have several tournaments booked next year. Some of them are big ones that are returning, that left this year because of the negativity, the uncertainty. They went somewhere else. Now they're going to come back. Okay. That's a plus. And whether you like the golf course or not, it is our job to embrace it, make it better, and help our staff make it better.
Okay, quick rebuttal, and we have to do a break.
Sure, and I totally agree with supporting the golf course now that the decision has been made. Certainly that's what I've tried to do as a council member over the past several months. And just one thing I wanted to mention about the bonding and my opponent's claim that I should have bonded, it would have been more fiscally responsible. That's like needing something for your house that is absolutely essential and then going out and putting a brand new pool on a credit card. That is going to cost us much, much more money in the long run, and it's going to add to the long-term debt of the city.
Our city comptroller even said that it was fiscally responsible to bond for it. Some of us listened to him and wanted to bond, and some didn't.
Okay.
So,
that said, we have to take a break here. We're going to be back in just a moment with more of our debate.
LA Quarry is the destination for all your crushed limestone. LA Quarry's been providing crushed limestone of various shapes and sizes to the residents of the North Country since 1991. The Thompson family have owned and operated the quarry in Lafargeville and are dedicated to providing fast and friendly service. Their local delivery option is available many times on the same day. Whether you're a contractor, a homeowner, or a business owner, LA Quarry has the limestone to improve your driveway and your property. Located at 19309 Grove Cemetery Road in Lafargeville, just watch for the huge sign next to the cemetery. LA Quarry is now doing driveways and stone pad foundations. Call them at 315-658-2004. That's 315-658-2004. For fast delivery or pickup of your crushed limestone, rely on LA Quarry and the Thompson family and see them on Facebook. Call them at 315-658-2004.
Roof looking older than you are? Finding more tiles in your lawn than grass? It's time to call Herringer's Contracting. The roof people. Don't delay though. Call them to set up a free estimate. Call them now at 782-9129 for Herringer's Contracting. The roof people who call you back.
Drive America.
Hey, it's Mike O'Connor at Drive America. This one's for all the busy mom and dads out there. Drive America has what you need to cart the kiddos around this year. Have you been squished on a road trip? Well, if you're looking for more room, we have SUVs with more room. And if you truly want to embrace a van life, we have vans for you. From Dodge Grand Caravans to Toyota Siennas, we got them. And dads, when you're not driving the van, how about a big old truck? Dads, we got tough trucks for you. Whether it's taking the kids to soccer practice or going out this season in the woods for hunting, Drive America has your tough truck. So stop down and see our selection of SUVs, trucks, cars, and vans. Hey, at Drive America, we love our customers. And if you've ever bought a car from us, we're asking for your support in the Best of the North Country. You can vote for us at bestofthenorthcountry.com. Vote for Drive America for best used vehicle in the North Country.
Drive America.
It's Halloween. Think edible arrangements. From party platters to $5.99 treat cups, Edible Arrangements is your one-stop shop with fresh cut flowers, cheesecakes, and caramel chocolate apples. Edible Arrangements has grab-and-go orders for your last-minute occasions. Visit edible.com today. Edible Arrangements has all your fall favorites with cheesecake, fresh cut flowers, and chocolate caramel apples. Stop into Edible Arrangements in the Target Plaza for all your grab-and-go gifts or call 315-788-4201.
This is Watertown Decides on AM 1240, WATN Watertown, and 100.7 The Eagle, WEFX Henderson. Once again, here's Jeff Graham.
Okay, we're back. Quiet down, folks. We want to get this debate going for the second hour. We want to welcome you to the Italian American Civic Association. We appreciate the club for allowing us to have this event here, and we appreciate you for coming tonight. What we want to do is get a couple of questions from you folks with a live microphone. So if you'd like a mic, Mr. Levin has the microphone. If you'd like to ask a question, raise your hand and he'll come to you. Okay? All right, we're going to do the best we can. Okay, we got somebody. And please make the questions concise and no speeches. Well, we're working on that, so we can talk about...
Talk for a living?
Yeah, I do talk for a living, and quite profusely at times. We'll take some questions.
He said he can speak. Just double check.
Well, there we go. All right, sir, go ahead.
Well, during the last few years, I've seen a very disturbing increase in a number of things in the city of Watertown and in the North Country. Specifically, an increasing use of illegal drugs, an increasing presence of fentanyl, an increasing number of drug overdoses and deaths, and an increasing number of cases of homelessness. All very negative things. They're tough things to talk about. They're tough things to solve, and Watertown is not the only place with these increasing issues. And I would add one more, based on what I heard in a report today, is the increasing number of mental illness cases in our city through all age groups, young through seniors. So I would ask the two candidates if you would kindly speak to these increases in the following topics.
Okay, let's start with Councilwoman Ruggiero. Go ahead.
Thank you. That is a very good question, and as it's getting colder, we're starting to see evidence of some homeless people that are out there. The Salvation Army does provide shelter from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., and I know that the county now has a new employee that is in charge of housing and helping with the homeless problem. Somebody apparently is going to step forward and provide shelter for people from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So there will be 24-hour shelter for somebody if they seek it. There are some people who may have some mental issues that don't want the help. They want to stay homeless, unfortunately. They refuse help. But I see the need in that, and I have supported the city efforts for that. My opponent voted against helping the Pine Street shelter last year, and it's very important to have these organizations to help people. The other thing is that we had a temporary shelter last year that basically came together to help people just before a big snowstorm. We were all invited to go down. I did. I don't believe my opponent did. I helped coordinate a Thanksgiving dinner for the people that were there, along with a bunch of other people who all put their efforts together to make that happen. The community really, I think, in some ways has come together to help them, but it's important that we do more and recognize that this problem is not going to go away. As far as the drug use, it's definitely a problem. It's increasing. And that's why last year, the budget that we had included 5 additional police officer positions to try to help combat drug use. And in last year's budget that was there, we're still trying to fill those positions. We now have several people in the current academy. But again, last year, my opponent voted against that. I want to bring that up because I saw the importance of needing an increase in law enforcement and also the efforts to help the homeless.
Ms. Campo-Pierce.
Sure, so I will start out with the homelessness. As my opponent alluded to, there are efforts at the county level to address the homelessness issue. The city has been part of those discussions, which I think is important, but ultimately the county oversees social services for the area. And as I said, a long-term solution is being worked on, but this is something that is very serious and that we hear more and more of lately. To my opponent's point about the Pine Street location for a homeless shelter, that is a shelter obviously on Pine Street that was planned without input from the neighbors. It's right in the middle of a neighborhood, and the neighbors there were concerned, rightfully so, and I listened to those concerns, which is why I didn't support the funding for that. But it is operational, and I have heard things, for the most part, are going well there. Again, I'll touch on the comment that my opponent made about me not going to the shelter during the winter. That is when I was on maternity leave. I just had a baby, and if you're a mom and you have a newborn, you can understand just how demanding that is, and that comes first. So I apologize I wasn't there, but please know that my concerns were with those people. On the topic of the police department, drug abuse in the community, that is something that is definitely, obviously, becoming more prevalent. It's even becoming more prevalent in our schools, which is very, very scary for parents. We are working to fill positions in the police department, which ultimately, I think that's what it will take with the drug epidemic, is more law enforcement cracking down and keeping an eye on problem areas in our city. I did vote against the budget last year, as my opponent alluded to, which included 5 police officers, but I'll tell you the reason for that. That's because that budget included 24 new positions overall for the city. I was an advocate for 4 police officers instead of 5. I believed, and as you heard, we haven't filled those positions yet. I believe in doing things gradually and not trying to take on that big expense all at once. Interestingly enough, when our comptroller provided a forecast of what the finances will look like in the very near future for the city of Watertown, and it's not a pretty picture, one of the first solutions when asked that my opponent came up with was to cut positions. So I'm not understanding the 24 positions and now cutting positions. But back to the topic, mental illness is another issue that is, again, extremely prevalent in our community and prevalent throughout the country. When I was in Senator Ritchie's office, we worked very closely with the Office of Mental Health, specifically on issues related to children's mental health and the lack of availability for beds to treat children who are experiencing mental health issues, mainly teens. Saw situations where teens were in emergency rooms for days on end because there wasn't a mental health bed for them to get the support that they needed. So that was an issue that I worked with the senator very closely on. Ultimately, through our advocacy, we were able to get a mental health unit at the hospital in Ogdensburg dedicated to children's services. That's something that, of course, is beyond our capacity as city elected officials, but what we can do is we can be advocates for that sort of thing with our representatives in Albany who do have the ability to impact that change and make that situation better.
Can I just
Well, no, you each, I want to get to another.
I don't recall cutting positions. I did say, we did agree to cut the deputy comptroller position because the comptroller did not want it. However, those same positions are in the current budget, and she voted for it this year, but she voted against it last year. Just want to clarify that.
Okay, so clarified. Now we got another question from the audience.
Assuming this mic is still working.
Yes.
By the way, it's 7 o'clock, and this is AM 1240 WATN Watertown and WEFX Henderson Watertown. Now we have to do that for the FTC. So you got a question, sir?
Yes, sir.
Hello. So fiscal responsibility is obviously important to the city of Watertown, water, construction. And we talked about the splash pad that young kids use and we've used with our kids. But for the kids on the north side that aren't young kids, that don't necessarily have any recreational activities, what would you say to them?
Okay, we'll start with Ms. Campo.
I'll jump in here. As I said before, I was not obviously for a third pool on the north side. One of the ideas that I did bring forward was a splash pad ice rink hybrid, which could be used year-round, and it's less costly to maintain. My opponent said that she saw no plans for it, but why would we go out and spend money for engineering plans when you have 3 members of council who are dead set on a third pool? I get it. That's the majority of the council and what they want to do, but from my perspective, it would have been better to replace that asset with something that could be used more year-round and still provide that recreational opportunity to children and families in that neighborhood of the city.
So I would like to add to that is that I remember the discussion, and I did search as far as this splash pad hybrid. I looked online to find other communities that might have had one. I think Buffalo was one. They had, it was a huge operation there, but they had problems with it because of keeping the water frozen in the winter. They had a lot of cracking in the concrete, and they were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to repair it. And I think that I mentioned that. Other communities have them, and they spent anywhere from $2 million to $4 million for it. So you're still looking at the same amount of cost to do that. And I know that it was mentioned, and I thought that information was that you were going to get information from other communities just to at least have it to show that, here's the difference. Some of the things that we have for recreation, which actually will be great on the north side, is a potential new skateboard park on Sewell's Island. I think that is certainly something that our youth need, teenagers. I know adults like skateboarding. So I certainly look forward to seeing where that goes. I know it's not on the north side. It was mentioned last night during the debate about disc golf, and some people didn't know that the city we've already passed that resolution to do that, and I believe that may be in the design phase right now for the course. But I truly agree, we need recreational opportunities throughout the city. I know on the north side there are several refurbished playgrounds that are good for some of the younger ones, but I see the pool there as something that is for everybody. It will be a zero-grade entrance, just like the pool, where if you're a toddler, you can walk into the pool. If you're somebody who has some, disabilities, you'll be able to access the pool too.
Thank you, Councilwoman. One of the bigger line items in the city budget, is the fire department. I think it's number 2 now behind police. They go back and forth. But Ms. Ruggiero, you are endorsed by the fire department union. Ms. Campo-Pierce, you are not, and you were probably allied with the mayor when he was in that epic struggle to try to downsize the department. So you still have differing views on that, I take it. And how's that going to manifest itself, or has that ship sailed and it can never be cut? Ms. Campo-Pierce?
I would say that I don't think anybody can disagree. It is critically important to provide appropriate public safety to the community, but as Mayor Graham said, the fire department is a very significant part of our budget. It's very expensive, and I think there has to be some common ground found with the fire department to reduce costs, because again, it is extremely expensive. And no, I was not endorsed by the fire department. My opponent was. It's not the first time, and they're also, I understand, in the past a major donor to her campaign, and I would have to wonder what sort of impact that has on her decision making and how much she got last time and how much she has gotten, if anything, this time.
Okay, Ms. Ruggiero.
Are you talking about a donation from what, the fire union?
Fire union,
Okay. Well, that was before I was an elected official. That was in 2017. You certainly can check my campaign finance records. There's nothing to hide there. I did not receive any donations from them in 2021 nor this year. Reason being, I'm an elected official now, and it's not proper. But back in 2017, I was not an elected official. But I know that you asked, Mayor, that you asked that question in the June debate about the fire department, and it sounded like some of the council candidates looked like they were willing to reopen this discussion again. And I would like to remind people that, we keep hearing about fiscal responsibility, but the thing is, over $1 million was spent fighting the union. And it was appealed, it went all the way up to the highest court that sided with the union that we can't change minimum manning. It can only be changed in their contract. And that's the only way you can negotiate that. My opponent voted to appeal that in 2019, voted to appeal it. I voted against it because our city attorney said that at the Court of Appeals, it was a 5-0 ruling, and that the highest court will not override that because you had 5 judges who ruled unanimously against the city. Now, I will say this, I was the only one who spoke out publicly and said I was against the appeal. And then the next thing you know, it was discussed, and Mr. Sly, our attorney at the time, realized that he violated the open meeting laws and took a vote in executive session. I spoke out about that publicly. The Times did an editorial about that, and they said that I was the only one who was transparent, and that it was commendable that I went public and stated how I voted, because the Times article originally said that I voted for it, and I said, no, I didn't.
Okay, was there another question from the audience?
Actually, a couple of questions. And the first one is one I handed you that I promised the gentleman in the back.
Yes.
Let's get to that first, and we have a couple
You
here.
want me to read it, or does?
Yeah.
Okay, this is to Ms. Ruggiero. Has Samayo's, I assume PJ Samayo's money influenced your decisions on council? Are you in his pocket?
Yeah, I'd like to know where that came from, because I think my opponent was saying that, and I think you even alluded to that maybe in your statement. I'm not in his pocket. Guess what? On the recent resolution that we had, I voted in favor of litigation to collect the taxes. So if I was in his pocket, yeah, I could have voted against that, but I want the taxes paid. But I'm not in his pocket. He has not given me any donation whatsoever. And that billboard has nothing to do with me. It's because we have, my opponent and the mayor have accused him of offering bribes, and I think that was his response, but it has nothing to do with me. And for anybody to say that he's in my pocket, I think I've only seen him once this year, and that was at a funeral. It's not, it's not anything other than that. A lot of people don't realize Mr. Simeo is a very generous man and has donated to many charities. In fact, Sylvia Buttison, some of her flamingos were stolen in somebody's yard because she's trying to raise money for IHC. He found out about it, gave her $1,000 to help her towards her goal. I mean, whether you like him, whether you hate him, the thing is, yeah, he can irritate you. I mean, I hate to say it, and he may be listening. It's like when I see an email, it's like, oh, what's this going to be about? Because you never know. But he is a stickler on facts and details, and if he feels, he wants to do something.
Speaking of facts, what's going on with that property on Main Avenue that Ms. Burgess bought at a tax sale, paid the 2 years' taxes, and then suddenly the money was unilaterally refunded to her? I don't understand that.
Personally, I have an issue with the process. I think Ms. Burgess said the process was flawed. The city comptroller even said that he made a mistake. I found out just the other day, I asked him if Ms. Burgess ever submitted anything in writing in terms of requests to get her money back. The answer was no. There was nothing in writing whatsoever. So I don't know if she picked up the phone and said, hey, I want my money back, and they just said, okay. The concerns I had about that was, if we're doing this for one person, is it happening elsewhere? And if not, and if somebody wanted their money back and we said no, is that considered discriminatory? I even asked about a written policy, and I believe the city comptroller said it's never happened before, but we only found out about that through Mr. Simeo, because he knew what was going on with his property. Staff did not tell us. And the way the charter reads, it says that we should have been the ones to authorize that refund of the money. If we're voting on $4,000 expenditures, this was $37,000 that this person got back because she wanted her money back. So technically, the taxes
She didn't want the building.
Whatever, but the problem is, no, if she didn't want it, she didn't want it. But you can't do that. Can anybody else in this room decide they're holding on to a tax certificate and go to the city hall and say, I really don't want this anymore?
Now,
No.
will the city have to tear it down? I understand it's permeated with mold.
Well, the city doesn't own it. Mr. Simeo still owns it, and there's a mortgage holder on it. But that's what I have a problem with, is finding out now that this person never even requested in writing that she wanted her money back. To me, this has been a cover-up. I have nothing against staff, but the thing is, I think that they need to...
That's not true. The mortgage lender was never told.
That's right. That's part of it.
She couldn't take the building back.
But that's part of it. That's part of it.
That's the whole.
So, no, that there's more to it. There's more to it than that. So what happened was that the city tried to correct that, and then they went back and gave another 90-day notice. But it wasn't 90 days, it was 89 days. So again, that was flawed. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
Let's let Ms. Campo-Pierce comment on it.
The question was, is my opponent in PJ Simeo's pocket? I will make a few points here. My opponent signed an NDA to conceal deals of a $3.4 million deal where your money was spent on the water. Please let me finish here. $3.4 million deal orchestrated by Mr. Simeo. The initial approach to council to buy the Watertown Golf Club, that came from Mr. Simeo. I was on those emails. Voted in favor of that, and hear from my opponent that she knew all the details of this deal, but then we find out later that Mr. Simeo got $850,000 of taxpayer money. Why? Then we uncover a document that shows that it might have been 1.7 million, which I guess would explain why the price was so inflated. More recently, my opponent voiced support for considering a deal where Mr. Simeo offered to pay his taxes in exchange for certain information for council members. In our recent meeting, my opponent actually said that this is something we should consider, that elected officials should be considering offers from property owners who have taxes due, making these kind of deals. We should, as elected officials, not be considering those types of offers. That is wrong, and I just can't comprehend why somebody would even say they would want to entertain that.
As usual.
Most recently, my opponent came out with a very long statement this week defending Mr. Simeo's many emails to me where he calls me names, mentions members of my family, and I think it's very clear to anybody who can see or listen to what I'm saying or see the billboard on Factory Street that there is a very strong tie between this individual who is clearly looking for influence on the city council and my opponent.
Okay.
Well, obviously,
Quick retort to that, then we got to do a break. Okay.
obviously have issues with that. So what she just said was actually false. The emails with the offer were addressed to you and the mayor. They weren't addressed to us specifically. And that was the charitable contributions. And that was what he wanted to do, was make a donation to a charity in your name. Excuse me. And I don't defend him. The only thing is that you went out and said that about your daughter, and all he said was about the meme page, and you wouldn't like it if your daughter was being bullied. That was it. And then, but when she put that out there, I think everybody thought, oh my God, it's got to be despicable, it's got to be terrible. But the thing is, the NDA, that was with Mike Lundy. And the reason why he asked for us to do it, and that was in December, is because the mayor already leaked information that was confidential and made it public. And Mike Lundy said, you know what, I don't want to take a chance. If you want to come up and look at the financials, obviously some sat that out. I thought it was important to know what the financials were. And I did go, and if I didn't think that was, the numbers were good, I certainly would have said, no. And the draft, we don't know. And actually, the city attorney, I met with her Monday, she said it is irrelevant, it doesn't involve the city, because on November 7th, Bob Sly said, I am not negotiating with Mr. Simeo, it is with Lundy only. What they do beyond, as far as the deed restriction dollar amount, that's between them. That was not with the city. But your mentor decides, let's make it public, after the attorneys involved in that form said, no, this is confidential. So now I think the city is probably going to be facing lawsuits because of that, and we have to look at that.
All right, we're going to have to cut it off there for a little bit and take a break. We'll be back with more of our debate in just a moment.
There's a lot of things that need changing. One of them could be your roof. If so, get Herringer's Contracting to fix it or replace it altogether. Don't delay though. Call now to set up your free estimate. Call 782-9129 for Herringer's Contracting. The people who will call you back.
L.A. Quarry is the destination for all your crushed limestone. L.A. Quarry's been providing crushed limestone of various shapes and sizes to the residents of the North Country since 1991. The Thompson family have owned and operated the quarry in Lafargeville and are dedicated to providing fast and friendly service. Their local delivery option is available many times on the same day. Whether you're a contractor, a homeowner, or a business owner, L.A. Quarry has the limestone to improve your driveway and your property. Located at 19309 Grove Cemetery Road in Lafargeville, just watch for the huge sign next to the cemetery. L.A. Quarry is now doing driveways and stone pad foundations. Call them at 315-658-2004. That's 315-658-2004. For fast delivery or pickup of your crushed limestone, rely on L.A. Quarry and the Thompson family, and see them on Facebook. Call them at 315-658-2004.
Hi, I'm Tony, one of the attorneys at Stanley Law Offices. I've been practicing law for nearly 20 years. I've seen what insurance companies do, how they put you through the ringer. You need a team at Stanley Law Offices. I know the ins and outs of insurance law, and I'm here to fight for you. Denying the land. That's not something Joe made up for a TV commercial. That's reality. You need a team that's going to work hard for you, fight for you. That's what we do here at the Stanley Law.
Call results do not guarantee future outcomes. 1-800-678-3333 215 Burnett Avenue, Syracuse, Watertown, Rochester, Bennington, Montrose, PA, and Leon.
Hey, this is Derek over here at Fiscal Subaru with Kevin, and we were talking about the 2024 new Subaru Outback today. What do we have going on this month, Kevin?
This month for Subaru Loves Pets Month, we have a special deal worked out for everyone up here in the North Country. We're going to save you $1,500 off every new 2024 Subaru Outback, plus we'll get you 4.9% APR. Until we sell out or till the month runs out.
Folks, what a huge deal. Save $1,500 plus 4.9% APR on every 2024 Subaru Outback in stock. We have a large selection to choose from, so I'm sure you'll find the right vehicle for you. And you can get that Subaru reliability with 96% of all Subarus sold in the last 10 years still on the road today.
Plus, they all get symmetrical all-wheel drive, and here at Fiscal Subaru, we're going to include 1 year of complimentary maintenance with every new and CPO Subaru sold.
2024 Outback, $1,500 off, 4.9% APR, symmetrical all-wheel drive, and 1 year of complimentary maintenance. That's what makes it huge.
Everyone's predicting a good old-fashioned winter. That means a lot of snow and cold. And Waitsboro Plow Shop can outfit your truck with the right equipment to battle the snow and ice. They have Fisher plows in stock, along with a large inventory of repair parts and accessories. Already have a plow? Well, now is the time to get it serviced. Get the peace of mind you're ready when the snow flies. Waitsboro Plow Shop carries plows for all sized vehicles. Don't wait. Call 315-755-6800, 755-6800, or visit them today on Outer Washington Street in Watertown.
This is Watertown Decides on AM 1240, WATN Watertown, and 100.7 The Eagle, WEFX Henderson. Once again, here's Jeff Graham.
Well, good evening, one and all. I'm Jeff Graham, live from the Italian-American Club here on Bellew Avenue. And boy, we got a hot debate going between our mayoral candidates, Sarah Campo-Pierce and Lisa Ruggiero, both sitting members of City Council, both running for mayor in the November 7 election. We have folks out in the audience. Mr. Levin has somebody.
Well, we do. We have 2 or 3 people. By the way, wonderful conversation, both to the moderator and the candidates. How about a round of applause? This is a great conversation. We know how to vote better every second. And sir, please, by the way, if you're asking a question, it's only fair you give your name, especially if you have strong opinions about something. It's only fair that you give your name.
Well, hello, my name's Jason. Last night, there was talk about the climate committee, and my worry, I drive a gasoline car, and also I rent, and I have a gas furnace, and I heard Councilwoman Sarah Campo maybe be a part of that community. And my worry about that no one is going to tell me what I can drive, or no one is going to tell me if I could buy a house with a gas furnace. So my question to the 2 running mayors, a couple years ago, I was denied access at a city council meeting. Sarah Campo, you were there. And the last city council members also, they all had a gain. And they all agreed that I wasn't allowed. Now, either one gets elected, you put your hands on the Bible.
Okay, we've got to move the question along. Move it along, sir. You've got to ask a question.
Well, the question is, are you going to agree with Albany in the policy that when it's enforced the Green New Deal in the mandate to get rid of gasoline cars and furnaces? Because you're not going to get my vote if you vote for it.
Okay.
Are you for it?
The question is, do they support forced conversion to these alternative energy forms. Ms. Campo-Pierce?
So working in Senator Ritchie's office for the past 10 years, I've kind of had a front row seat or been right in the mix of these types of proposals that have been handed down from Albany, especially during her time as a ranker on the Senate's Energy Committee. I worked intimately on the details or the briefs for different meetings she would have, different pieces of legislation, and I've seen these things, I've read them in their totality, and the fact of the matter is Albany, for the most part, is controlled by downstate, and they do not understand that the way that we live up here is not the same as New York City. You know, we heat our homes a lot of times with wood stoves. There was a push when I was working in the Senate to get rid of wood stoves. We had a petition with hundreds of people signing it. As Mr. Traynor alluded to, there's a push to do away with gasoline-operated vehicles. So I think that, as I said before, Albany, when they make these decisions, they're weighted more toward what is good for downstate instead of what is good for upstate. What we can do to influence that, unfortunately, is not too much other than advocate with our representatives to have them bring our ideas back to the Capitol. I'll touch on the Climate Smart Committee that Mr. Traynor mentioned. For the public's knowledge, the Climate Smart Committee is something that was brought to my attention by Dr. Kimball, who is in the back there, and I'm glad that he did, because it is a program through New York State that doesn't have anything to do with getting rid of gas-powered vehicles for everybody. It just has to do with different small steps that the city can take to, number one, improve efficiency, number two, to improve or to protect the environment, and number three, to save us money. So being a part of that program gets us better access to grants that will help pay for certain things. You know, for example, LED lighting is one of the things that they have, or perhaps, electric chargers, all sorts of different.
We got to move on. We got to try to move up the speed on these answers. I don't mean to be troublesome, but Ms. Ruggiero, the question revolves around forced conversion to alternative energy. Would you favor the city going whole hog into electric vehicles? New York City is buying electric police cars as we speak.
Right. No, I have to tell you, here's the reason why. The electric grid right now cannot sustain what the demand will be. I think by 2035 is what the state goal is. I don't see that happening. We have a lot of solar farms around here, but that energy is going elsewhere. The other issue is that we're seeing a lot of our agriculture land disappear because of the solar farms. And it's at the point where you really have to look at what percentage that solar farm is going to use, and how much of the land is left for farming purposes. That's a big concern up here, and the people downstate, they don't think about that, because to them, they're oblivious. If people want to have electric cars, fine. I know there's a push they want all homes to be electric at some point. Again, the system cannot handle that, and I can tell you that if that was a requirement, everybody in this room will have difficulty having a house wired to be able to handle not only an electric house, but let's say you have 2 or 3 electric vehicles, you're going to have to do some major upgrades to be able to make that happen. And so I have concerns about what that's going to cost people in the long run.
Okay, very good. We got a question here. Recreational economy, obviously, Mr. Olney makes a lot of that. Part of that is the zoo. It came up last night, hasn't been addressed so far tonight, but it's teetering, we're told. I mean, should the city take operation of it back, close it, subsidize it more? Those are your 3 choices, I think, right?
Yeah, I'll start out with the zoo is an incredible asset in this community, and when you talk about things that are going to attract people to come here, attract visitors and families, it's things like the zoo, a quality zoo. I think the first step, and this is something that Mr. Sorrell suggested but has not happened yet, is forming a panel, a group of people who can provide some honest feedback to the zoo and look at different models of operating and figure out what's best to make improvements and make it sustainable. When it comes to spending on recreation, I would have preferred to see some of the money that we overpaid for the golf course go to something like the zoo that actually, would be used by most of the community, families, and attract people from outside of the area.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Ruggiero.
I thought you were done.
One other point I'll make, it definitely is a regional asset, and you, Mayor, alluded to the amount of money that the county has. Maybe there's an increased partnership that can be had there.
Okay, thank you.
Well, considering that 3.4, and we got all of the equipment, the golf carts, exterior buildings. Oh, please. You know what? This is what's happened. The mayor is responsible for dividing this community because that's all you heard for 4.5 months on the radio. No offense to Mr. Levin and his station, but people only heard one side of it. Many people did. But the thing is, we have it, we own it. If we did not buy it, guess what? The golf course would be closed. I know we have a lot of golfers in here. They would be upset because there was a backup offer. To my understanding, it was going to be closed. And people don't want to believe it, but there was a plan to put houses there. So you all think that all that could never happen. Guess what? You never should say it'll never happen, because it could. And we are very fortunate to have that. The other thing is that I believe that the zoo, we really need more attention with the zoo. I mean, we're giving them about $100,000 or so a year. We just upped that, I believe, last year, and I think that we really need to find out what are the recommendations. Is it to close it? Should the city take it back? What are the expenses if the city does? And the other thing is the golf course will be open year-round. People are thinking it's not going to be open in the winter, but the plan already is, and we passed it in the budget, is to put a groomer up there so that people can go cross-country skiing and snowshoeing, and there's going to be a setup for rentals.
Can I just have a quick rebuttal to that? We have many, many acres of land at the park that could have been used for that purpose of using a groomer to make trails. So to justify a $3.4 million purchase by saying you'll be able to use that land for trails in the winter seems a little silly to me. And I just wanted to touch on the $3.4 million. We probably would not have spent that much money if there had been an appraisal. So I just want to take this opportunity. I know I voted in favor of an appraisal because it was the responsible thing to do. I want to ask my opponent, as a 30-year professional in the real estate business, why you would vote against an appraisal for the Watertown Golf Club.
I love it. I love your supporters are laughing at me before I even answer. I mean, that's really impolite. But I will say this. When I have almost all the offers that I have worked on that are cash offers, there's never been an appraisal. It's never been contingent upon an appraisal, because the people if they want that price, that house, and they and the seller agree on the price, that's what it is. Why did I not think that an appraisal would be important in this particular case? Here's the thing. The appraiser said he could not appraise the equipment, all the tractors and mowers and all of that equipment. He also could not put a value on golf carts because that was not his specialty. He also did not put a value on it being an operating golf course. So there were a lot of things that he did not put in that appraisal, and if you haven't looked at it, you should look at it. But the other thing is, he also could not put a value on what the deed restrictions were. Now, not to pick on Ives just sold for $2 million. No equipment, no golf carts, less land. I think it's West Genesee School, they're going to pay $4 million for a golf course next door because they want the land for future expansion. To me, it's important to have it, is what John Thompson wanted well over 100 years ago, and we have it, and guess what? You have to have vision. Maybe we're not going to use it right now. Maybe it's a golf course for the next 10 years, 15 years. What about 50 years from now? Are we going to have a different type of recreation that is going to be what everybody wants? Maybe it's going to change, but the fact is we have the land, and I got to tell you, I have heard so many compliments about the grounds this year. We have excellent staff. And they are trying. They have been really trying hard to make that work. And my opponent goes up there for photo ops, bringing donuts to the employees, and then bashes it the next. I mean, even in your statement that you just put out, yesterday, you're still bashing the golf course. Let's get over it. We own it. We now have to decide how do we make it even more successful.
Well, the crowd said they wanted to get away from the golf course discussion.
Rebut that really quickly.
Sure. You didn't bring
Yes,
donuts up there?
What's that? No, I did, because consistently after we purchased the golf club, I have been positive about it. I've been trying to promote it and try to get people to go up there. Wouldn't you want to do that? Wouldn't we want to make money on that? And to make the point about the deed restriction, yes, that was included in the appraisal. And the appraiser actually found that the deed restriction would have a negative value. It would have a negative impact because we are empowering a competitor to compete with our golf course and our ability to make money. And the last comment that I'll make is an appraisal would have been essential to getting the best deal possible for the taxpayers. That is our job. Why wouldn't you want to do that?
All right.
So,
Look.
I want to mention this. The appraiser did not put a value on that. But you know what? Now that Ives is going to be soon open, that was a best investment for the city because the city still has the only 18-hole golf course in the city. That was an investment. People may laugh, but you know what? Any big tournaments, they're 18-hole tournaments. They're not 9-hole tournaments. And I commend Mr. Johnson for doing what he's going to be doing with his operations there. And I'm sure it's going to be a different operation, but he has invested a lot of money into it. But now more than ever, having that deed restriction is more valuable than it was a year ago.
Thank you. We'll retire the golf course for the evening. Your reference to the mayor, I just want to thank the mayor, I don't know where he went, for filling in on the hotline over the winter. It was very nice of him to do so, whatever his opinions were. So, and Mrs. Milley, school board member, yes. Thank you for deep sixing that purple football field. So there you go. And Ken was asking for a break. Oh, sure.
Yeah, just one sec. So I don't take umbrage with any comments about the radio station or the talk programs, but in this room, how many of you seen me with a cup on my chin? Thank you for the billboard. It was one of the highlights of my life. And we'll be back right after this.
There's a lot of things that need changing. One of them could be your roof. If so, get Heritage's Contracting to fix it or replace it altogether. Don't delay, though. Call now to set up your free estimate. Call 782-9129 for Heritage's Contracting. They're people who call you back.
L.A. Quarry is the destination for all your crushed limestone. L.A. Quarry's been providing crushed limestone of various shapes and sizes to the residents of the North Country since 1991. The Thompson family have owned and operated the quarry in Lafargeville and are dedicated to providing fast and friendly service. Their local delivery option is available many times on the same day. Whether you're a contractor, a homeowner, or a business owner, L.A. Quarry has the limestone to improve your driveway and your property. Located at 19309 Grove Cemetery Road in Lafargeville, just watch for the huge sign next to the cemetery. L.A. Quarry is now doing driveways and stone pad foundations. Call them at 315-658-2004. That's 315-658-2004. For fast delivery or pickup of your crushed limestone, rely on L.A. Quarry and the Thompson family and see them on Facebook. Call them at 315-658-2004.
Hey, it's Lee LaFave at FX Caprera Honda, and I love the snow. It's a fact of life in the North Country, and you either love it or you hate it. But either way, you gotta deal with it. And at FX Caprera Honda, we can make dealing with it easy. We got those tough trucks that get you right up over the snow. As a matter of fact, we have over 300 trucks to choose from and new truckloads coming in every day that Charlie Caprera personally handpicked for that North Country winter, making FX Caprera Honda the best place to shop for a truck. FX Caprera Honda is right off Interstate 81 on Bradley Street in Watertown. And to keep you from driving off the road this winter, we've got an incredible selection of SUVs. Whether you live in the hills of Harrisville or the snow belt of Adams, FX Caprera Honda has what you need. On Bradley Street in Watertown, FX Caprera Honda.
Some personal injury law firms promote multi-million-dollar payouts.
And not so surprising, many people who've been injured say, me too.
It's that false hope that generates family feuds. Sylvia called me. She shared with me the extent of her husband's injuries.
So, Joe, sound like $1 million deal to you?
No, he didn't get $1 million, but he was awarded the maximum for his situation. At Stanley Law, we know when we work together,
you win. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes. 1-800-678-3333, 215 Burnett Avenue in Syracuse, Watertown, Rochester, Binghamton, Montrose, PA, and Oneonta.
Oh, it's the magic 8 ball. What to ask? Oh, will I ever make it on the radio? Without a doubt. Wait, does that mean I'm on the radio right now? Hello? What now? I didn't really think this through. Goodbye, all of New York.
Seek a different kind of fortune. Play the new Magic 8 Ball Scratch-Off game for the New York Lottery for your chance to win up to $1 million. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 plus. Gambling problem. Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
This is Watertown Decides on AM 1240, WATN Watertown, and 100.7 The Eagle, WEFX Henderson. Once again, here's Jeff Graham.
Well, thank you very much, and we're back, and we're into the home stretch here on our Watertown Decides 23 mayoral debate, and it has been an exciting evening. In the back of the room, I think Mr. Levin has another questioner.
Yeah, and by the way, thanks to our announcer for tonight, Jeff Berlin. A round of applause for him. The voice of God, Jeff Berlin. And sir, you had a question. Your name?
Anthony Mizercola. My question is for Councilwoman Ruggiero. As you stated tonight, well, before I get into that, I've been told to keep it short because we're running out of time, so I was going to read a short excerpt. You guys can look it all up. It's on the website, American Civil Liberties Union. In regards to the First Amendment, Supreme Court of the United States of America. Councilwoman Ruggiero, you stated this evening, you said that you wanted people on the council that you can work with anyone, and you want people on the council that explain their positions. In addition to that, you said you work for everybody. I've posted several questions on your public Facebook page that's under your council title. I've always been respectful. I've always asked an intelligent question. And the majority of the time when you've answered, actually every time that you've answered, you've deferred to the other mayoral candidate or the current mayor. You've never answered the questions. And it was yesterday. I sent you an email, I believe today or yesterday. You've blocked me from your Facebook page. I have never harassed you. I have never threatened you. I have never intimidated you.
Yes, you have.
According to the Civil Liberties Union, American Civil Liberties Union, that is a public site that you cannot censor. I have never threatened you in any way, shape, or form, intimidated you, or harassed you. Asking you questions in regards to your position and your choices that you made as a council person is not threatening you, it's not intimidating you or harassing you.
Sir, do you have a question?
What's the question?
What, do you have a question?
You blocked me.
Nothing's blocked right now. Ask your question.
So I'm assuming you must be Mr. Mizercola, correct?
I started out with my name, yes.
Okay. Well, it's kind of hard to hear back here depending on how you're speaking into the mic. So here's my thing. You asked the same questions pretty much. I give you answers, and then guess what? Either you or somebody else is taking screenshots and throwing it over on the meme page and then distort everything that I have said. Number two, you even went to a professional, excuse me, did you ask me a question?
Hold on. Let her talk.
Yeah, you asked a question. Here's the other thing. And maybe you don't think that it was wrong. You followed one of my professional organizations that I'm a member of. You went to their page. You started calling me out on their page, a real estate professional page based out of Albany. And you went after me on that page. And they blocked you. They deleted it. My campaign page is my campaign page. That is what it is. But I'm going to tell you, a lot of the people that are on the meme page have been, especially today, have been over on my page using the F word, saying BS straight out. Is that right? I don't deserve that. And actually, I even talked to the former city attorney, and he said that if it's considered harassment or it's bothering you or to that effect, I can block that. I can delete that. And I did have somebody else on the meme page that actually was more sexual harassment, and I blocked him. So if I feel that somebody is just going on my page and laughing at me, not even asking a question, that's one thing. But you continually ask every post that I make. It's like you are harassing me because you go on every post that I make and you keep asking questions. I try to give you the answers. They're not the answers you want. And number 2 or number 3, you support my opponent. So the question is, you don't agree with the golf course. That's it.
All right. You don't agree. Is there another question out there?
Yeah, he has one question to ask, and in fairness,
Well, he's had quite an opportunity.
We should give him a chance. Make it brief, please, sir.
I am not associated with the meme page in any way, shape, or form. You made a false allegation against myself. Anything that they're posting is public. As far as the questions I asked you, they were in regards to your position, and it's not everything. I hope that you please do publish everything that I said. In the professional page, as a professional, I was asking if that was prudent, the choices that you've made.
Okay.
And actually, that page, that professional page endorsed me running for mayor, and you basically made negative comments.
What we have here is a personal dispute that really doesn't add anything to the public's awareness of these issues. So why don't we leave that one?
Well, let me just add.
No.
He comments over on the meme page.
I realize it's a meme page, my God. I mean, how long are we going to agonize over a meme page?
Well, Mayor, they did make fun of you once.
Huh?
They made fun of you once, and I didn't like how
Well,
they
sure they made fun.
He's had a lot of experience getting ridiculed being mayor for 20 years. Sure.
Yeah, they've made fun of me on there too, so it doesn't,
Right,
I don't know
right,
who does
but they
it.
bash me every day, 3
It's
times
not-
a day.
That's not done by the mean girls, is it?
Yes, it is.
It is?
Oh, that's right, because at my fundraiser last week,
Okay. Here we go.
some of my opponent's best friends went there, and I don't know if they were trying to intimidate the people that were at my event. Some of the people are here.
I'd like to
But
get
we
back
bought
to
them
the
drinks.
issues. I don't
I like-
know
I like the
what
movie,
happened.
but-
I'm a very busy person. I don't know my friends' schedules. I'd like to get back to the issues.
No, I
Okay,
don't-
well,
sure,
anyway, we'll stipulate that you're not a mean girl and leave it at that. As far as, did anyone out, Millie, did you have a question? You said you did earlier. Or you don't? Okay, I'm trying to be nice to you there. Well, one of the questions, and this is kind of open-ended, everybody always asks, what's your vision for Watertown? And I think that's pretty amorphous, but everybody always asks it. So, Ms. Campo-Pierce, what's your vision for Watertown?
My vision for Watertown is a safe Watertown where families can thrive. It's something that has become more important to me now that I'm a parent. I was fortunate enough to have a great childhood growing up in Watertown, but I think we can all agree that we have seen the city decline, whether it's looking around at the zombie homes or, as somebody alluded to tonight, the drug epidemic. And those are things that we need to address if we want to have a safe community where families can thrive. And so my vision would be also to work to create jobs, or work to create jobs so that our young people can come back. I was lucky enough to be able to come back and build a career here. I would like my daughter and countless other children to have that same opportunity, essentially.
Okay. Ms. Ruggiero, your vision for Watertown?
Well, I guess it's a matter of perception, because I like to think that the city is moving in a good direction, because instead of decline, I think everybody can agree that There have been so many road projects this year, a lot of paving, water and sewer main replacements. There have been a lot of infrastructure projects. And I've heard people complain, well, why didn't they tell us that this street was going to be closed or whatnot? But for the most part, people are actually pleasantly surprised to see the work that is going on in this city. LeRae Street, I think people didn't realize that that was going to get paved, and it is. And that's making the people happy over there. Mill Street, another one. I mean, these are the main arteries coming into the city, and it's been a bad impression for people coming in to see the roads the way they are and the potholes. So I think that we are making those improvements.
Very good. Thank you for the vision question. It wouldn't be a debate if we didn't have to hear the dog park question. So please keep it brief, sir, and leave out the lawsuit stuff and everything.
Oh, no. S.G. Gates. Thompson Park was given to all the people of the city, and over 1/3 of the population are dog owners. That's way more than Frisbee Golf, I guarantee you. In 2014, when asked, 85% of the citizens asked for the lookout location, which was deemed by the city to be the ideal location. All summer long, I was told the lookout was secured and I could build there once the resolution was passed. Recently, it was switched to another spot I was never even told about, and the city tried to hijack the fundraiser I am currently doing to put the money in a fund that was started in 2014 illegally.
Okay, so
I just want to say, are you going to seriously waste the taxpayers' money and have another lawsuit, because that's where we're at, or are we going to get this done for the people like they requested? Thank you.
Any response?
I would like to say, number one, I mean, I don't understand the lawsuit because it's city land, and the city has the say in terms of what goes on city land. You were at the meeting Monday, and you basically didn't support it, and the resolution that was tabled, you were like, nope, you didn't want to support it, so we voted it down. Somebody did send us an email, I think, that really wants to see a dog park here, and when he comes back next spring, said he wants to be involved in doing something. But the thing is, we were this close before. We went through this before. We were that close, and then you changed your mind. I think the location changed.
There, sir.
And you know, we're back to where we were. As I said the other night, it's deja vu. We can't. We want to see it happen, but it's got to be how the city dictates that.
We got one more question, then we got to get moving here.
I just wanted to get one more question in from Councilwoman Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Levin. Thank you, Mayor. I just have one question that I would like to ask the candidates. We all know that Mr. Gates has a really heartfelt interest in a dog park. And I give him all the credit in the world. But I want to ask both of you what you think about the fact that there was already a spot that was located, designated for a dog park. The city of Watertown supported that. Mayor Graham even paid the money to have a sign made to designate that. And my concern for you and all the citizens should be that Mr. Gates says that it's a contaminated site. It's not. It's remediated. And I have articles that I can give to everyone that I could show you where, well, some people are laughing, okay. I could show you where the remediation is done. It's been done all across the country, and they say that it's an awesome thing because when the remediation is done, you could have a dog park, or you could actually have something for children to play on. It could be a playground. So if it's safe for children, how could it not be safe for dogs? And that's the thing that really upsets me, because the whole neighborhood got behind that site. All those businesses on Factory Street wanted that. They were willing to put money into it. They were willing to support it. And the whole council did, but all of a sudden, because Mr. Gates said no, okay, it was no. It bothers me. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
she's asking, are you taking orders from
Yeah,
Mr.
I would
Gates?
support that location. I don't see a problem with that. And I think we need more people to speak out that are in favor of a dog park, because nothing against Mr. Gates, he's very passionate about it, but we only hear from one person and what his preferred location is. It would be great to hear from other people to see what would they like, where would they, and I do remember all of that and how that's where it was going to go, and there was going to be grant money coming in for it, and Mr. Gates did something to stop that from happening.
I guess to me, when I hear that, it's kind of like, how bad do you want a dog park? Here, the city is making these accommodations to make this possible. I know, as you said, Councilwoman, Mr. Gates is very passionate about this, but honestly, and I respect that passion, honestly, I have not heard from anybody else who wants a dog park. Seen them in other communities, they're very nice. Should it be a priority for the city? Again, he is the only one that's brought it forward, but I do respect the fact that he has spearheaded a fundraising effort, and it's more of that we need to see, but done in a respectable way where you're not threatening to sue the city. We saw a partnership like that with the splash pad up at Thompson Park and Rotary, and so I think I applaud that, but there's some
That
questions
said,
here.
the clock is ticking, and we want to give you each a chance to bid your adieus to the crowd here and to summarize your campaign and ask for people's vote. So we will start with Ms. Campo-Pierce.
Sure, so I would first and foremost like to thank community broadcasters. Thank you to the Italian American Civic Association. And most importantly, thank you to the public for listening tonight. As I said before, the most important job that we have as representatives is to listen. That has been my focus as your representative for nearly 5 years now. To listen to the public, take that feedback, and make the best decisions possible for the city. That would continue to be my focus as mayor. My over a decade of experience with the office of State Senator Patty Ritchie has provided me with the right experience to be a leader for the city that is focused on improving Watertown. I would ask the public to take a minute and think about what matters to them in a representative. Here's what I bring to the table: fiscal responsibility and being smart with taxpayer money, taking care of essentials first, like our drinking water. Transparency and being completely open about the way that your money is spent. Maturity and professionalism. You can be confident that I will always conduct myself as an elected official should. Always wanting to hear the public's input. Unlike my opponent, I would never vote to silence the public's voice. I would always listen to you, the people who we are trusted to represent. If you think these qualities are important for the next mayor of Watertown to have, I would respectfully like to ask for your vote. And if there's a question that I have not answered here tonight, or you would like more information, I invite you to go on my Facebook page or my website, www.sarahforwatertown.com. There's some placards in the back that have some more information about me, my experience, and my priorities. And again, thank you to community broadcasters. Thank you most importantly to the public.
Thank you. Okay, and Councilwoman Ruggiero, your closing remarks.
Thank you. As I have said, I have been involved in this community for over 30 years. I believe my opponent might have been 7 or 8 years old at the time. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm a baby boomer, so I've been involved that long. I've been president of many boards. I currently serve on the Jefferson County Planning Board, JCC Foundation. I'm on the board for the Watertown Noon Rotary. I was past president of Family Counseling Historical Society. I'm on the JCIDA. I'm a member of this organization, president of the Smithville Fire Department, past president of the local board of realtors, Women's Council of Realtors, Women's Council of Realtors, New York State. So I've actually served as president of a state organization. So I know the community. I have networked with people here. I actually know many of the people that are involved in this community, and having the ability to be able to network is key. I'm experienced. I have the qualifications. I have the dedication. I'm ready to lead. And one thing that I'm going to say, because I think Mayor Graham used to do that, if elected, I want to have weekly office hours so that people can come in, discuss their issues, and see if we cannot solve their problem. You can find, I've been writing for quite a while now, articles on my website, which is lisafromwatertown.com, and you're going to see quite a few articles that I put out. I have, for quite a while now, put out my goals, my accomplishments, the topics that I would like to see next year. The other thing I would like to see is constituting a charter commission, because the last time those issues were put on the ballot and defeated. I think we need to revisit that because our charter is very outdated. But I would like to say that I am fiscally responsible on many things, and my opponent she's voted against many things, including the fire department, saying it's going to save money, and it hasn't.
Okay.
So I would like to thank you all for being here.
And you're asking
Thank
for the vote. I want to thank you. I want to thank the Italian American Civic Association for their hospitality. I want to thank the audience. I want to thank the NBC folks. And most of all, we want to thank the candidates for their participation. So that said, have yourself a good evening. You're listening to AM 1240 and the Eagle 100.7.
You've been listening to Watertown Decides. This has been an exclusive presentation of Community Broadcasters, 100.7 The Eagle, WEFX, Henderson, Watertown, and AM 1240 WA.